Do all gaming steeds have to be regular old horses? The answer is, of course, nay. Okay, that's the end of the video. Thanks everyone, I hope you enjoyed it. Video games have provided us with a plethora of fantastical mounts over the years. Whether you're a fan of Final Fantasy's iconic chocobos, or you prefer to get around on the back of a cute egg-laying dinosaur, there are plenty of options out there for those who like to ride something a little more outlandish. For this list then, we decided to amass some of the most unconventional living modes of transportation we could find in video games, thus providing you, the discerning viewer, with an absolute stable full of oddities to consider straddling. Whether you use a saddle or prefer to go bareback, there'll definitely be something here for you to get your leg over. What? Why are you looking at me like that? Just a note though, we're not including MMO mounts on this list, as that could form a video all of its own, quite frankly. This is mostly thanks to the arms race of over-the-top purchasable mounts that the likes of World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV have found themselves in. Also, those guys are basically just changeable skins, let's be honest. We here at TripleJump though like to sit on things with a bit more personality, you know? So, I'm Peter from TripleJump, and here are 10 outrageous video game mounts. Giddy up. Number 10. Ruin Darksiders. Darksiders was originally released in 2010 for the PS3 and Xbox 360, and tells the story of War, one of the horsemen of the apocalypse, as he becomes embroiled in a conflict between the forces of heaven and hell. Borrowing gameplay elements from the likes of God of War and The Legend of Zelda, Darksiders provided an action-packed adventure with weighty biblical themes presented in an eye-catching visual style. For a large chunk of the game, you'll have to make use of War's paltry 2 legs to get around, but partway through, he'll have the opportunity to regain his stolen mount, Ruin. This fiery equine has been captured by the demons of the Ashlands, and War has to defeat the steed's new master in order to regain Ruin's trust and service. Once War is back in the saddle, Ruin provides his master with a much-needed burst of speed, huge combat bonuses, and that all-important horsey companionship. Aww. He's a very muscular and intimidating boy, but we gave Ruin a spot on this list because despite being the immortal rune-covered flaming steed of a biblical symbol of destruction, he's still at least recognizable as a horse. And we've got to have at least one horse in this list, now don't we? Just don't expect much of that for the rest of the video. Number 9. Dragons, the Panzer Dragoon series. Whether you're playing one of the 2 on-rails Saturn shoot-em-ups, the 4-disc RPG epic, or the series' final entry, 2002's Panzer Dragoon Orta for the Xbox, Sega's Panzer Dragoon series is a must for fans of strange mounts. Boot up one of these games and you can expect to be plonked into the saddle of a uniquely designed airborne beast and sent into battle against a vast and powerful empire. Now, lots of games let you ride dragons around. Drakengard, Lair, and more put you in the seat of a winged lizard friend and let you wreak some havoc. However, there's something special about Panzer Dragoon's particular flavour of giant flying saurian that gives them the edge, that's a sneaky Panzer Dragoon Saga pun for the fans out there, when it comes to oddness. Perhaps it's their biological makeup that seems to incorporate reptilian, insectoid, and biomechanical properties to form something completely alien. Perhaps it's their legendary status in the series' lore, feared by the mighty Empire as singular, invincible creatures in a world full of mind-bending monsters. Or perhaps it's just the fact that they fire homing laser beams out of their mouths and have lots of cool, spiky bits. Yeah, I reckon it's the last one, actually. Number 8. Strider, Minecraft. Getting around the vast procedurally generated worlds of Minecraft can be a bit of a chore, and can, I imagine at least, cause quite a bit of wear and tear on poor Steve's little square feet. Luckily, there are various mounts available to take the strain. Horses, donkeys, and mules are all firmly rooted within the realms of reality, and whilst riding on pigs might seem a bit of a stretch, at least they exist in the real world. That's why Minecraft's fifth mount sticks out like a big blocky sore thumb. Known as striders, these rock-like creatures have no arms, 2 legs, a big grumpy face, and a few fiery tendrils. They take no damage while walking across lava and can be tamed by slapping a saddle on their head and guiding them with a warped fungus on a stick. This combination means that they're invaluable to Minecraft explorers who need to quickly get to the other side of a lava lake without burning to a charred husk. Be careful though, because since they are most at home in fire, striders don't do very well in water. Take one away from its balmy abode and it'll start to shiver, and if it gets caught out in the rain, the poor thing will take damage. The lesson here? Keep your bipedal rock monsters away from water. Oh, words for us all to live by. Number 7. Praying Mantis. Golden Axe, the Revenge of Death Adder. Here's a rare combination for you, bug and fire type. Joining La Vesta and Volcarona, we have this fire-breathing praying mantis from Golden Axe, the Revenge of Death Adder. Unlike the aforementioned pocket monsters though, you can ride this toasty creepy crawly into battle. Golden Axe, the Revenge of Death Adder is an arcade-only sequel to the original Golden Axe that was released in 1992. It tells the story of Death Adder, the primary villain of the first game, as he returns to wreak destruction upon the land, and is a completely different game to the more familiar Golden Axe 2 that Mega Drive owners will likely remember. While other Golden Axe games had boring old fire-breathing dragons and this adorable club-tailed boy to ride around on, the Revenge of Death Adder brings creatures like electric scorpions and undead lizards to the table. While these are all cool, we like the mantis the most, slicing and dicing enemies with its blade-like arms, as well as producing the aforementioned fiery blasts. It is a formidable and intimidating mount indeed. Remember though, that if you can ride it, so can the bad guys. Gigantic predatory insects with fiery breath are way less fun when they're coming after you. Number 6. Lord of the Mountain, The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. Link's most famous steed is undoubtedly Epona, and rightly so. First seen in The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, this gentle horse, named after the Celtic goddess of horses, is forever entwined with the Zelda mythos. At the end of the day though, she's just a horse, and not the mystical reincarnation of a sage that protects the Kingdom of Hyrule and the animals that dwell within its forests. That's more what we're after for this list. If viewed quickly and from the rear, this legendary creature could be mistaken for a ghostly stallion, but closer inspection will quickly reveal an otherworldly ethereal form, cloven deer-like hooves, leafy antlers, and a bizarre four-eyed visage. This is definitely no ordinary steed. With its flowing white mane and noble stature, the Lord of the Mountain embodies the mysterious and frightening aspects of nature, and only a hero of Link's pedigree could tame such a beast. While the Lord of the Mountain is a force for good and a protector of nature, stable masters in Breath of the Wild are terrified of this creature and will not register it for fear of being cursed. Not that I can blame them. If I was a stable worker and someone tried to park a giant glowing owl-faced horse in my stable, I think I'd be somewhat taken aback too. Number 5. Brumak, Gears of War 2. The Gears of War series has never been content with doing things by halves, constantly pushing the envelope with over-the-top military hardware versus gigantic beast action. The Brumak is a prime example of this philosophy. Used by the Locust Horde as massive siege beasts, they're pretty much immune to regular weaponry. Seeing one of these ferocious hulks lumbering across the battlefield is extremely bad news. And that doesn't stop protagonist duo Marcus Phoenix and Dom Santiago from trying to ride one at the end of Gears of War 2 though. While attempting to sink the city of Jacinto and flood the Locust burrows beneath, Marcus and Dom hatch a plan to hijack an enemy Brumak, and somehow they manage to pull it off. Cue an empowering stomp through locust-infested caverns as they unleash the Brumak's mounted chain guns and rocket launchers at all manner of unpleasant beasties below. Don't get too attached to your new pal though, as before long, it'll be mutating into some kind of lambent monstrosity. Marcus has another bright idea to use the flailing, transforming beast as a living bomb to sink the city, and the next thing you know, you're circling it in a chopper as you rain down orbital laser strikes. Aw, what a way to treat your trusty former steed. Number 4. Cute Fishron, Terraria. Duke Fishron is an optional hard mode boss in 2D crafting and exploring game Terraria. Absolutely devastating to inexperienced players, this vile denizen of the depths looks like someone put a shark, a boar, and a bat into a gene splicing machine. Is there such thing as a gene splicing machine? Though Terraria players are not required to beat Duke Fishron to progress in the game, those tempted by some tasty loot can summon this aquatic antagonist by going fishing with a truffle worm. Defeat this creature on expert mode and he'll drop, among other things, something called a shrimpy truffle. This shrimpy truffle can be used to summon a more visually agreeable version of Duke Fishron called Cute Fishron, a winged, luminescent pigfish that players can ride around the world of Terraria to their heart's content. Providing powerful buffs near water, this rideable sushi is one of the best mounts in the game, giving its rider unlimited flight as well as aquatic maneuverability. Just don't try and ride it across the ground though, as its pace slows to a crawl. The poor thing just can't run, which is ironic really, given that it's basically called Cute Fish Run. Never mind. Number 3. Coffee Table, Mother 3. Mother 3, or Earthbound 2 if you want to get alternative title about this, is the third entry into Nintendo's quirky RPG series known for its irreverent humour and juxtaposition of serious and ridiculous themes. It was released in Japan for the Game Boy Advance in 2006 and tells the story of Lucas, a youngster who finds himself in a dangerous conflict with a mysterious invading army. At one point in the game, Lucas and friends find themselves riding around on one of gaming's most ridiculous mounts, an animated coffee table. Said coffee table was supplied to the party by Mr. Satins so they could ride it to the valley where party member Duster is being held hostage by the pig masks. All making sense so far? No? Well, I can't say I'm particularly surprised. This whole thing is utterly bonkers. Don't get too used to galloping around on this finely crafted piece of equine furniture though. Once Duster is saved from the pig masks, the coffee table will be replaced by an equally nonsensical mode of transportation, the pork bean. However, this bizarre device is more of a vehicle than a mount, so we'll save that one for another list, shall we? Number 2. Anteater, the Crystal of Kings. Our second arcade-only entry on this list comes from obscure side-scrolling beat-em-up The Crystal of Kings. Made by a team of former SNK staff, The Crystal of Kings themes are heavily inspired by The Lord of the Rings, featuring elves, wizards, and magical swordsmen as protagonists, and orcs, dragons, and war elephants as enemies. The character we want to focus on today, however, is Coco the Dwarf. Or possibly Coco, because there's 2 C's, but that's very rude, so let's say Coco. This Earth-aligned fighter rains down arrows on his enemies from atop his trusty Anteater mount. Now that's something you're unlikely to see in Middle-earth. Operating mostly as a ranged combatant, Coco's trusty Anteater can also pack a punch if enemies get too close. Additionally, Coco's ultimate magic attack summons a horde of rampaging Anteaters to overrun the battlefield. Again, I can't even imagine Radagast the Brown pulling off a stunt quite like that. Do be careful though, as if Coco takes a few too many low hits, the Anteater can be killed, forcing our diminutive friend to walk around on his own 2 feet and severely limiting his combat capabilities. Poor brave Anteater. I'll never forget you and the way that you used to, eat ants and stuff. I've forgotten already. And number 1, Squigs, Total War Warhammer. With the 2022 release of Total War Warhammer 3, the Fantasy Warfare trilogy has now, more or less, brought nearly 50 years of Games Workshop tabletop madness to your computer screen. As you might expect, this includes some pretty outrageous mounts. We've got big, flashy knights mounted on swanky hippogriffs, pleasure-seeking demonettes straddling profane demon steeds, and even the fabled bear cavalry. Shining brightly at the top of this crazy pile of rideable creatures, though, is the humble squig. Ridden into battle by insane goblins with a complete lack of regard for self-preservation, these fungus-based lifeforms are basically mouths on legs that appear comical until you see them rip something limb from limb. There's something extremely satisfying about watching noble elven warriors or heavily armoured knights of chaos being swarmed by what are basically angry mushrooms with teeth. Be careful if you fancy breaking one of these in yourself, though. According to the lore, the squig is only barely able to tell friend from foe, and is likely to turn on its master as it is to attack the enemy. I guess that's one reason to stick with the plain old horse. They're far less likely to, swallow you whole if you turn your back on them. It's not to say it'll never happen, though. Red Dead Redemption players, do not let your guard down.